In October 2020, we drove to Columbus, Indiana from our home base of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We'd never been there before, and so for much of the trip, we were continually trying to discover Columbus. How do you construct meaning about a place? We walked around, taking in the historic sights. We toured beautiful architecture. We met incredibly warm people and had some good cold beers. We took in the views of our project site at Millrace Park. We had all these wonderful remembrances of our trip, but the one thing we couldn't get over was the name. We were compelled by the curatorial vision for this exhibition that out of the complicated metaphor that is Columbus, Indiana, there is room for a discussion about what is between. The associations inherent in this juxtaposition of images begin to construct meaning. So, we zoomed out. Maybe to better understand the specific condition, we needed to understand the general one. We started researching Columbus as an origin story, not only to better understand Columbus, Indiana, and the United States of America Columbus purportedly discovered, but also Columbus as a network of cities, thoroughfares, events, corporations, and natural features. We found that Columbus and its associated names of Colombia, Colombo, and Colón are a production studio, a school. Columbus is a movie. It's a shopping mall, a soccer team. It's a country. It's a steamy novel. It's a fraternal Catholic order, a district in Panama, a bus, a communications company in Barbados, a neighbor to the east, a Nazi-era opera written by this guy, a tubing company, an excursion liner, a sausage company, and really great branding. I love Paul Rand. The U.S. Board on Geographic Names catalogs these Columbuses, would that be Columbi, within the United States. This is a really, 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 really long list. Globally, with regard to publicly recognized place names, there are 58 distinct incorporated civic places across the world with the name Columbus. If you include Columbia as a gendered conjugation of Columbus, you get a further 82 points. If you include Colombo and Colón, you can bump that number up by 76 for a total of 216 place names. This suggests to us that the new middle focus of this exhibition is one that already has a global set of ongoing relationships. In fact, Tom was raised right here in British Columbia, and when he has his naturalization ceremony later this month, he'll become part of the body that is the United States of America. Just like our flag is a living thing, these associations around Columbus, such as Miss Columbia, are a living embodiment of the country. Columbus and the places named after him together form a series of associations of American identity, capital, and property that have considerable momentum. It is already well established that the capital we exchange today is rooted in wealth made possible by the transatlantic slave trade first enabled by the Portuguese and Spanish empires with which Columbus was intertwined. Moreover, the property we inhabit derives from land stolen from indigenous peoples. Columbus, Indiana was formerly Tiptonia, an early settlement ignominiously named for John Tipton, who forced the removal of indigenous people from this region to Kansas in the 1830s. When the city was renamed Columbus in 1821, it traded one troubling figure for another. Many of the place names in question came into being around this time. Columbia became the personification of America at a time when we gained our independence from the British and were forming the mythology of our new nation. From 1776 to the mid-1800s, Columbuses and Columbias proliferated here, just as they did in South America, and those countries claimed their independence from various empires. Our installation for Exhibit Columbus, titled Columbus, Colombia, Colombo, Colón, is an expression of these relationships. We aim to make the invisible visible through an overlay of material, texts, and discursive narratives that represent this system we negotiate every day. So early sketches about this project were about trying to kind of devise a system that would hold all of these networks at play, that would be a series of kind of repeated elements distributed across the site. We thought of these like flagpoles, staking a claim, like a prop without its image. And so the installation consists of 58 vertical elements, these flagpole-like props without their images. Each pole corresponds to a specific Columbus located out in the world, such as Columbus, Indiana, Columbus, Montana, or Columbus, New Mexico. These globally distributed Columbuses serve as the organizing plan logic for our installation located in Millrace Park. And I think we're still kind of figuring out how all of the various derivations of Columbus's name show up in this location. So thinking about, maybe these tall poles are what are seen and registering above the ground, but we can also project downward into the kind of deep section of the site to talk about the sort of layered histories that exist in this place. So I think that there's, certainly some further development that we're kind of exploring these different ideas about these sort of imagined systems happening simultaneously. So each of these poles has text spiraling its shaft that relays information about the particular locale. Sort of like a historic marker that has kind of didactic information that tells you what you're looking at. To read the pole induces a spiraling movement around the vertical element, like Trajan's column in Rome. Moving from pole to pole might feel like a dizzying launch on a grand tour trajectory. Oh, and that has to do with Columbus too. Our site, located in the Columbus that's in Indiana, has a number of kind of conflicting narratives about it. At the same time that the city is building these incredible modernist architecture monuments, people were living in our site, formerly called Death Valley, in shacks. Currently, the park has a series of small pavilions that feel like fragmentary narratives, that the park is composed of pieces where paths don't connect or view sheds don't necessarily have a kind of continuous sense of prospect. So I think that there are ways in which we're trying to kind of contend with all of these sort of fragmentary positions about Columbia, Columbus, Colombo, and Colón, to piece them together, to offer some sort of narrative, however fraying and fragmentary it may be. I think to read these histories, this sort of global network of Columbi, it's kind of like an echo chamber where one may imagine the projection of Columbus from Italy, Spain, and Portugal to the U.S. as a woozy, unsettling event. Through all of this, we've come to recognize that Columbus, Indiana, is not just a town. It is part of a larger complex of meaning and signification. That it persists is a continued legacy that we all must grapple with. Thank you.